Hey everyone, so this is a little bit of like a different video today because this isn't me kind of like talking about any big issues, and this isn't me like responding to another video or a book or whatever. This is just kind of going to be me talking about some thoughts I've had in my head for a little while, and just kind of, I don't know, I wanted to get them out there and just, yeah, I haven't planned this at all. So this seems to be a theme with me lately, like not planning. Basically, I just turn the camera on and I'm thinking I'm just gonna speak about what's been in my head, if that makes sense. Hopefully this is okay with you guys, and it's not too weird or different for some of you. A lot of you who follow me on Instagram and Twitter might have seen that over the last, like, week and a half, kind of 2 weeks, I've been having a little bit more of a tough time than usual, and I've been feeling quite down. I've been feeling very, very insecure about a lot of things. And I've just kind of, that's the reason I've not really been making a lot of videos. I've kind of not wanted to get out of bed, never mind get on camera. My anxiety and worry has been back to being like super high and just like in my face, and I've just ended up feeling really like overwhelmed and like I can't do this. It's weird, like being a YouTuber isn't something that I ever expected I would do for a job, like at all. And because I am quite an anxious person, and because I do tend to take criticisms to heart quite easily, and I get very over-emotional with, like, every single part of my life, I've always kind of joked, like, oh, this is kind of the worst thing I could do for a job. But I once said that to Thomas, Holy Koolaid, and he said to me, no, it's, like, the best thing you can do for a job, because you're constantly challenging yourself and working on your biggest weaknesses. And I don't know, that was kind of something really nice that sort of stuck with me, that I try and remember when I'm feeling all insecure and, like, I can't do this. I feel like one of the biggest problems I have is that there's a big kind of disconnect between how I see myself and how other people want to see me or expect to see me, if that makes sense. Like, I was talking with Stephen and Alex the other day, and they were talking about doing these big kind of like debates and talks and lectures and live conversations, and they were pulling out all these comparisons to people like, you know, Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Raw and stuff like that, and they're amazing people, they're incredible people, but I've never seen myself as being on their level, because it's just, it's not how I see myself. They're kind of definitely a lot more academic and serious, and like Alex asked me, like, oh, surely this is something you've thought about, or have you thought about this? And I was like, no, I haven't. Those guys are a lot more kind of like academic and serious and academic's the word I want to use, like, and I don't see myself like that. I don't see myself writing books on morality and giving university lectures and so on. That's not the kind of person I am, and it's not what I see in my future, and it's not something I aspire to. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all, it's just not what I want to do. But I also feel like some people expect that of me, and when I don't live up to that, or when I don't follow through with that, some people get disappointed, and that makes me sad, because it's like they've imposed these expectations on me that I didn't even know were there, or that I hadn't set, or that I wasn't aware of, and it's a little frustrating. But on the other end of the spectrum as well, you have a lot of people who expect me to be some kind of like activist, or like, because I speak about atheism, they expect me to be like, you know, petitioning for the end of religion, and they expect me to be out there like converting people to atheists and and like, again, I've seen a lot of creators at the minute, like people who I like and people who I don't like so much, talking about how like they're activists and they're this and they're this, and you know, if you don't do this as an atheist, then you're letting the side down, and if you don't do this as an atheist, then you're letting the side down, and if you don't say you're an anti-theist, then you're blah blah blah. And I've been called a wimp because like, I think when I made my anti-theist video, like, my thoughts were just a bit muddled and messed up, and I guess it all just comes down to this. For me, calling yourself anti-theist is making a claim about religions, and I don't think if I made that claim about myself and my views on religions, I don't think I would thoroughly be able to back it up, so I'm just not gonna make any claims for now. That's all there is to it. I'm not against anti-theism. I fully support people who embrace the anti-theist label. I'm just not applying it to myself at this point in time, and that's all there is to it. And again, there are people like, there are people who kind of seem to take offense to this and who are like, you're not a real atheist, you're not doing the right thing because you're not being an activist on this and this and this. And I'm like, but that's the thing, you're kind of imposing these expectations on me that, again, I didn't even know were there. I'm not an activist. I'm not petitioning for change. I'm not trying to convert anyone. I see myself first and foremost as an entertainer, as a creator, and that's it. I make videos to entertain people, and sometimes they might learn stuff in those videos, sometimes they might feel that they want to act on something from my videos, and I do tackle pretty serious topics, like, you know, I've reviewed books on child abuse. I talk a lot about, like, pro-LGBT stuff. I will happily call out people who I think are hurting other people. I talk a lot about science and politics and social issues, and these are really big things. But ultimately, throughout all that, my goal is just to entertain you guys and give you something interesting to watch and to think about and to discuss. I'm not trying to convert anyone, I'm just putting my opinion out there in hopefully an entertaining way. I hope. I'm trying. And so that's something that's been kind of like buzzing around my mind for like the last 2 weeks / year. Because there's also another thing that like kind of sticks in my head from when I first started doing YouTube stuff. And I don't want to name any names, but another big creator turned around and said to me, the problem I have with someone like Jacqueline Glenn is I don't see what she adds to the community. Like, what does she really do? She doesn't have these original ideas. And I'm like, and at the time I was like, oh, okay, I see what you mean, yeah. But now, like a year on, I'm like, no, actually, I disagree with that. I think she adds a hell of a lot, because she might not be super academic and she might not be super activisty, but kind of like me, she sees the human side of atheist issues and social issues and political issues, and I think that's really important. And ultimately, she's entertaining, and I think that is essential, because you can have as many like big, fancy, important ideas as possible, but on a medium like YouTube, if you're boring, no one's gonna watch, and it doesn't matter how important your message is if no one's watching. It's like there have been books that I've had recommended to me, and like they can be books on what should be interesting topics, and they might have these like important ideas and all this sort of stuff, but if they're boring, I'm not going to read the whole thing through, because for me, you know, we've got this one life. We haven't got a huge amount of time in it, so I'm going to spend my time doing what I enjoy and what makes me happy rather than what I should be doing. You know, and I guess I kind of want to apply that same thing to YouTube and say that I think there's a place for all kinds of creators on YouTube. Even just within this kind of like skeptic-y, atheist-y community, right? I think there's a place for creators who are kind of like militant anti-theists. I think there's a place for creators who are slightly more like academic and kind of, these are the facts and this is the logic and this and this and this. I think there is a place for kind of emotional, mushy stuff like I do, where I talk about how things make me feel, and I talk about how like, this is what I think, but it might be different to what you think. And I think there is a place for people who just want to be entertaining, and I don't think it's helpful if we just assume that all atheists have to be stuffy and serious all the time. I don't think it's useful to assume that all atheists have to be these militant anti-theists who hate everyone who's religious and religions and blah blah blah, and you know what I mean. I don't think it helps anyone to think that atheists are always angry and serious and like, no. Sometimes you just want to be an entertaining person who talks about some big topics and who also, you know, gives their opinion and adds a little atheistic view in there as well to kind of mix things up a bit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've seen terms like porch atheist being thrown around recently as well, and I don't really get it. I don't get what it's about, but I get that it's kind of seen as an insult. And I'm like, I don't think you have to be some big activist or academic or fighter or meh. My point is, being an atheist isn't the focus of my life, and I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't want it to be the only focus of my channel either, and that's why I talk about a huge range of topics, including things that make me happy, like puppies. Who doesn't love puppies, right? You know, when I meet someone for the first time, I'm not like, you know, shaking their hand going, "Hi, I'm Rachel, I'm an atheist." So why would I do that on YouTube? I don't want it to be the focus of my life, because that would be a very boring life. I think the difference is that I want to be a person who just talks about stuff. And then I'm like, oh, well, by the way, like, because I'm an atheist, I don't think this is good evidence for this, and this is good evidence for this, and therefore I think we should all be nice to each other to make people happy. You know, that's the kind of stance I want to take, and that's the kind of stance I have been taking. But I just don't appreciate people saying, like, oh, you're a wimp because you're not getting angry about the fact that this harmless person over here is a Christian. I'm like, I don't care, really. They can believe what they want. What I care about is when he starts saying, oh, I'm a Christian, and therefore you can't get married, and you can't get married, and you shouldn't have children, and you shouldn't have an abortion, and so on. That's what I care about, not whether he actually believes in a god or not, because, I don't know, ranting a little bit here. So that's a big thing that's been kind of going around in my mind. And I've got to say, Thomas and Stephen have been, like, absolutely incredible this last week, and I don't know if they'll appreciate me saying this, but, like, in my head, I kind of see them as, like, supportive big brothers, and that's exactly what they have been, and they've been so lovely and so kind, and just, they've known exactly what to say to encourage me, and just, they've been amazing and wonderful, and I love them to bits. And, you know, cheeky shout out here, but Thomas has been working very, very hard recently on a series of videos about abiogenesis and how life kind of started and created, and he's just released, like, the most amazing video on his channel, so I'm gonna link it below. You should go watch that. And give him a little bit of love and support, and also give Stephen some love and support as well, because he's an amazing guy, and he's been doing some great work on, like, Jordan Peterson, and a lot of kind of, like, videos about Islam recently, and they're both, like, the smartest guys ever, and they're just so nice and smart and funny, and I'm like, why do they get to be the whole package? No, I'm joking. I feel very lucky to be friends with such amazing people, and now I'm rambling again. I guess the other thing I kind of want to talk/rant about is this idea of people saying they're disappointed in me because of the dress I wore in my last video. It's a dress! God's sake. Like, this is one thing that, like, really annoyed me. Apparently I'm like, oh, hey, Cara, babe. It is something that really annoyed me, and it kind of hit me hard, and it frustrated me a lot, because when is the last time you saw Cosmic Skeptic, or Godless Engineer, or Genetically Modified Skeptic, all those amazing guys? When was the last time you saw those guys being told they were thirsty for clicks and begging for attention because they wore an item of clothing that they feel really comfortable in? I don't go, like, kind of crazy feminist here, but, like, I do think there is a double standard, where people seem to have an issue with what women wear, and they read into things way, way more than they should. I wore a dress on a hot day that I feel very comfortable in, and apparently that makes me an attention-seeking whore. No, screw you. I've had that dress for, like, 4, maybe 5 years now, and I've never had any other comments on it other than Dan saying, oh, I like that colour on you, you should wear it more often. That's it. I've never had people in public, in real life, complain or compliment one way or the other. It's a dress. And yes, I don't have the body of a 12-year-old boy, but I'm not going to apologise for that, because it's just the way I'm built. And I'm sorry that you could see 3 millimeters of a red butt bra poking out from a red dress, but if you hadn't realised, I'm not exactly close to the camera here. My screen is over there and it's tiny, and I can't see every kind of tiny detail about a tiny, tiny little bit of bra poking out. It wasn't a conscious choice. It's just what happens with clothing sometimes. Now, do you want me to kind of cover these bra straps up? Because I'm not going to, because right now, they're keeping me pretty supported and comfortable, and I'm okay with that. The point is, it is red hot in London. Like, hotter than it has been for a long time, and I am not going to apologise for wearing less clothes than I did in the winter. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but can you see a pattern between some of my old videos and what I wore in them? It's not that at these points when I'm wearing, you know, big fluffy jumpers that I didn't want attention, and it's not that at times when I'm wearing tank tops and dresses that I'm thirsty for attention. No, the difference is the temperature outside and in my house. That is it! Anyway, I'm not going to apologise for wearing clothes that I feel comfortable in, both temperature and confidence-wise. You know, I'm not going to apologise for having the body of a woman that seems to offend some people. And I'm not going to apologise for feeling comfortable and happy in my body. And I'm not going to apologise for not being scared of things like bra straps. And I'm not going to apologise for feeling good about myself. And if you want to read into things and say, oh, she's just thirsty for clicks and attention, then maybe that says more about you than it does about me. Because if I was thirsty for clicks and attention, I'd do some trashy YouTube thing, like filming a video sat in my bikini, with no real content. But instead, I'm a woman who wears clothes she's comfortable in, whilst working ridiculously hard to research and plan and script and film and edit videos. That's all there is to it. And to anyone who didn't like my dress in the last video, screw you! That's kind of all I have to say on that topic. Tell you what, I feel like a huge weight has just been lifted off me by, like, being able to rant about this stuff. I don't know if you guys will get anything out of this video, but it's definitely helped me. Oh my god. I think sometimes it's easy to forget that there are other people on the end of a computer. It's easy to forget that I'm a real person with a real life and, you know, family and friends and interests outside of my job. It's easy to forget sometimes that when you're an anonymous commenter with probably no name and no face, it's easy to forget that your words are affecting real people. Anyway, yeah, so my like I say, I've been feeling like super anxious and messed up the last like 2 weeks, and I've been ridiculously like emotional and all over the place and literally crying at everything. There was a mix up. I was supposed to go on like Steve McRae's podcast the other night, or the other week or whatever, and basically like there was a mix up with the times, and I'd like planned out my whole day, and I've been up since like 7:30 a.m. and I thought the podcast was at 11 p.m. basically, because that's what I had in my calendar. That's what I got off the original schedule, and I'd planned out my whole day. I'd been like ridiculously busy. I'd not eaten, and it got to like 7:45 at night, and I'm there, and I started doing my research for the stuff we were going to talk about on the podcast, and then Steve was like, are you ready? And I was like, what are you on about? And apparently the podcast was starting way earlier than I had any idea about, and I just got like ridiculously stressed and anxious, and then I was like, oh, I've let everyone down and I can't do this, and basically I just felt very like overwhelmed with life and work and everything in general, and I needed to kind of like shut off from everyone for a bit, so I closed the laptop and computer and whatever, and I gave my phone to Dan and was just like, you message Steve and you deal with this please, or like, can you deal with this please, I just need to go and cry for a while. And so I did, and I sat outside. We got a nice little chair out on the balcony now, and I just sat there with Kyra and cried for hours, and she licked away my tears because she's a good girl like that. And then I went and got in bed and just like didn't leave for forever. And I also took a little bit of a social media break as well, and kind of only slowly came back to it. I need to do that sometimes. It's not something I talk about, and it's not something I've even like told my parents or sister, but I have been taking antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication for about 6 years now. So I started when I was 19, and I'm still taking them. I've switched up what medication I'm on over that time, and I've increased my dose at times, and now I'm down to like the lowest it's been since I started, which is great. I take sertraline, which pretty much reduces me having any panic attacks, which is good, and it keeps my mood at a nice even level, which is good. For a while I did just kind of struggle to get out of bed or leave the house or see anyone, and I just felt very kind of empty. And when I did have to do something, especially like when it came to group projects at uni or just doing shopping in Tesco, I would often have like these crazy big panic attacks and get scared, and it messed everything up for me. And like the medication definitely sorts me out, and yeah, I'm reliant on it, but I'm getting better. Anyway, this isn't something I really want to talk about. Mental health and talking about it is something that's very important to me, but it's not something I feel hugely comfortable talking about publicly at this time. I think it's just a personal thing, but also like I do worry because I think you have to talk about it in a very careful way, because I don't like how some people glamorize depression and mental health and stuff like that. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's nothing exciting or romantic or special about not being able to shower for 5 days, not being able to leave your bed, crying because you've run out of clean underwear and don't want to walk to the kitchen where the washing machine is because you might see people. There's nothing nice about any of that. And so I think, yeah, if I want to talk about it, there's a very careful, specific way I'd have to go about doing that, and I'm just not quite ready to yet. But I just kind of want to let you know why I sometimes disappear from making videos for a while, and why sometimes things get to me, and why sometimes I seem like I'm having a miniature breakdown on Twitter. But no, it's all good. Like, I'm in a very good place now, better than I have been for years. Probably better than I've ever been, which is good. I'm on medication that works for me. I've done a lot of work with, like, counsellors and people. Yeah, I'm happy, so don't worry about me. It was just a bad couple of weeks with my anxiety just kicking in and being a little poop. Anyway, I've been rambling enough, and you guys probably don't care about me and my life that much, but you know. I guess the last thing I want to say for the people who do criticize me for whatever reason is that I want to remind you that this is my channel. And, okay, no, that sounds bitchy, but like, the point is, the channel is named after me. The channel uses my face. The channel is about me and my life and things I want to talk about and topics I want to address and things I want to discuss with you guys. And yeah, sometimes that covers atheism and science and politics and social stuff, and sometimes it's just the fun, silly stuff. But don't get mad at me if I cover something that you don't like. Don't get mad at me if I just don't post atheist stuff for a week, because this isn't a purely atheistic channel. I'm not godless whatever. I'm not skeptic something. I'm just Rachel. I'm just a girl who wants to talk and hopefully entertain a little bit and just have a bit of fun. You know, have a giggle. But yeah, for now, if you have listened to this big long rant, thank you. I do appreciate it. Like I say, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit off, but I'm going to try and get back into the swing of things now and, you know, see how it goes. For now, I want to say to everyone who has been, like, so lovely and supportive and kind, and I received so many nice messages on Twitter, especially, and a few on Instagram, and just people being lovely. I just want to say thank you to you all, and, like, I want you to know that it really did help me, and I couldn't go through and reply to every single one of you because I didn't want to spend that long on the internet, if I'm honest. But I want you all to know that it does mean so much to me, and I did read them all, and they did help me so much, and just thank you for being kind and supportive and lovely, and you guys are pretty amazing. So I'm going to end this here, I'm going to stop rabbiting. I'll make normal videos again soon, I promise, but for now, thank you so much for watching, thank you for sticking with me and my channel and being amazing, and 50,000 subscribers is ridiculous, and I never expected this, so thank you. But anyway, I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you so much for watching today. If you liked this, you can see more from me on the Here and How podcast, a weekly science podcast I co-host. I also have merch available if anyone is interested and wants to check it out. But for now, thank you so much to everyone watching, and an even bigger thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon this month. A special thank you goes out to Gambit and Chauffeur, Deshauwn, Mark Dauner, Lemmings, Berg, Religion is BS, Rachel B. Royer, Matthew Meinema, Jason Moore, Sir Michael Moore, Jaden Shepherd, Greg Clive, Pixelated Skeptic, and 8D Gibbs. You're all amazing, and to everyone mentioned on this end screen and down in the description below, I love you guys so much. Thank you.